Hello, you guys. How are you? How are you? How are you? Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you all for joining. If you are listening in on my podcast, Fundable by Design, thank you so very much for being a part of my community. For those of you that are listening in on my YouTube channel, thank you as well for being a part of this community. I'm going to ask that you please would share, would comment, would subscribe. I really enjoy sharing this information with you as it relates to not just starting your nonprofit organization, but really understanding the tools, the strategies, the systems, the structure of your organization as you endeavor to grow your nonprofit. I talk about more than starting your organization. I really want you to understand that your organization is organized, okay? And that the work that we do is only sustainable if our organizations are positioned or are equipped, have the capacity to ensure that our programs are sustainable. All right. I'm about to challenge one of the most common beliefs in the nonprofit space. Okay. So get ready. I'm about to challenge one of the most common beliefs in the nonprofit space, a belief that sounds good, right? A belief that makes sense on some levels, a belief that sounds like you are mission driven. And yet, this belief quietly destroys nonprofit organizations every day. Okay, so get ready. That belief is this, that every dollar that comes into your organization should go to the program. That is a quiet belief that destroys organizations every day. Every day, organizations are destroyed, are closed down, are struggling. Every day, organizations quietly struggle, are destroyed because of this belief that every dollar should go to program. Now, listen, before you tune out, hear me out. Okay? Hear me out. Because if you truly care about helping people, then you should understand why this mindset may be preventing the very mission you care about from surviving long term. I'm going to say that again. Hear me out. If you truly care about the people that you say you want to help, then you need to understand why this mindset may be preventing the very mission you care about from surviving long term. I was on a phone call earlier today, and I was speaking to a nonprofit leader who had just started her organization, and she has got a house, right? She got a house, and she's wanting to help veterans or young people aging out of foster care. She's still trying to decide which one. She works full time, and she really has a heart to serve. She wants to make a difference. And she's spending her own personal money, furnishing the house, buying supplies, preparing the property, right? And getting things ready. And then she told me, she said, I don't have much money to invest in learning how to structure the organization. I'm going to say that again. She has a house. She's paying for the house out of her own pocket. She now is spending her own personal money on furnishing the house, buying supplies for the house, preparing the property, and getting things ready for people to move into the house. Now, all of that is an expense. All of that is an expense that's coming out of her personal pocket. Again, she has a house, she has a heart to serve, she's working a full time job, and she wants to make a difference. And then she says to me, I don't have much money to invest in learning how to structure the organization. And that statement reveals one of the biggest problems that many of you are having. Because her mind was the beds are the mission. I have a house. I want to do a transitional house. In her mind, the beds are the mission. The furniture is the mission. The house is the mission, right? I have a house. I want to use it to house veterans. I want to house young people. So in her mind, the beds are the mission. The furniture is the mission. The house itself is the mission. The supplies is the mission. So spending money there feels justified. But spending money on organizational development, on fundraising infrastructure, on governance, on sustainability, feels like she's taking away money from the mission. I know that's what y'all are going through. Jen, I don't have any money. Jen, I don't have any money to grow my organization. I don't have any money, Jen, to learn how to run the organization, learn how to fundraise, because I feel like you're taking away from the mission. All the money, Jen, should go to the program, and that is killing your organization. And this is where many of you get stuck. Because in your mind, the mission is helping people. Nothing wrong with that. The mission is the organization. And you love the mission. But very few of you understand the machine that supports the mission. The machine that supports the mission is the fundraising system, how to build donor relationships, the governance of the organization, board development, financial management, the operations of running the organization, not the house, the strategic planning for sustainability. That's the machine that keeps the house or the organ or the program going. But for many of you, the machine isn't exciting. The machine isn't emotional. The machine does not create the photos that go up on social media. The machine isn't visible. But without the machine, which is the organization, the mission and that program eventually stops. Did you hear what I said? Because you see, right, in her case, you see beds, you see food, you see supplies, you see transportation, you see the house. I want to add more houses, Jen. I want to get more houses. I want to do more program. I want to increase my shelter. I want to serve more youth, whatever it is, because those things feel real. And the organizational development, the piece that puts the organization together and in structure to support the program, that feels invisible. That doesn't feel like that's a priority. And we all do it, naturally invest in what we see, right? You see the program develop. You see the people that are being served by your program, right? And so you want to invest in what you see. The beds, the house, the supplies, the equipment, the space, all of those things are expenses. Those things you can see. But the donor, the funder, the supporter, the contributor, the sponsor, those that give the grant dollars, they invest in something different. They invest in confidence. Let me say this. Most of you think that the donor, right, or the grant funder, right, because she asked me the question about should I sign up for SAMS.gov Or Jen, how can I get a grant? Or Jen, I want to get a grant. Now, I know that many of you have heard start a nonprofit, you can get a grant. Start a nonprofit, you can get funding for your program. So, in your mind, you're thinking, all I got to do is get my paperwork and start doing the program because once people see my program, they'll want to give because of what they see. They're going to see my program. They're going to see the work that we're doing in our program, and they're going to give us funding. They're going to give us a grant because of what they can see that we're doing. And that's not true. You think that they will give money because you have a cause and a program. And that's not what they think. The donor, the supporter, the contributor, the sponsor, those that give grant dollars, they support organizations capable of carrying those causes, carrying that program long term. They're trusting in your organization's capacity, not your program passion. Not what your program does. Jen, I have a house. Jen, I want to serve veterans in this house. Jen, I need materials. I need supplies. I need furniture for this house. I want them to stay in the house, Jen, short term, long term, whatever. It's not the house that gets the funding, it's the organization. Those are two separate things. The organization that is capable of carrying, of sustaining, of being structured enough to support this house long term. The house is an expense. It's an expense. It doesn't get the grant. The organization gets the grant. And for many of you, if you guys have been following me for any amount of time, I've been talking about the difference between your organization and your program or your cause or what it is that you want to do. I want you to think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Two organizations have the same mission. Okay? Think about this. Two organizations have the same mission. You want to help veterans. Both want to help veterans. Or both want to help foster youth. Or both want to do after school programs. Or both want to help and support organizations that are doing helping single moms. Whatever the two are. Okay? One has systems, has governance, has donor infrastructure, has financial controls. The other has passion, has furniture, has supplies, has belief that the Lord said. Which one feels safer to invest in? I'm going to say that again. Two programs, both serving the same audience. One organization has systems and strategies and infrastructure for sustainability. They have governance, they have donor infrastructure, they have financial controls, they have a fundraising strategy. They understand how to acquire, how to retain, how to budget, and manage their money for long-term sustainability. That's one organization. The other organization has passion, has furniture, has supplies, and hope. From a donor standpoint, which one feels safer to invest in? Because that's the organization that gets the funding. It's not the program. It's the organization that is structured to support itself. I'm going to give you an analogy, okay? I'm going to give you an analogy. Imagine someone wants to start a hospital. Hear me out. Someone wants to start a hospital. And so they buy the beds, they buy the wheelchairs, they buy the medical equipment, they buy the supplies, they buy the computers, right? And then they say, we don't have money for administration. We don't have money for administration. We don't have money for accounting. We don't have money to hire team or help. We don't have money for systems. Would that hospital survive? For many of you, Jen, I started my nonprofit and we help single moms, right? So we offer financial literacy, we offer budgeting, we offer accounting, we offer support groups, right? We offer space for them to come and to talk. But no, Jen, we don't have a fundraising plan. No, Jen, we don't have executive leadership or strategy or even financial management to understand how much this is going to cost long term. No, Jen, we're not able to help or scale to grow our program. Would that program survive? Jen, I want to start a school where we want to help young people, Jen, get school uniforms. So we need uniforms, we need shoes, we need help with tuition, we need we need their book bags, we need their books. All of those things are expenses. But no, Jen, we don't have a plan for sustainability. No, Jen, we don't have a budget of how much that's going to cost. No, Jen, we don't have a fundraising plan. No, Jen, we don't have board members. Jen, I'm paying for everything out of my pocket. Would that program survive? Of course not. Why? Because the things that you do or that you want to do in the program is not the organization. In the example of the hospital, right? You started a hospital. Jen, we started a hospital. We need a building. We need beds. We need a wheelchairs. We need medical equipment. We need supplies. But no, we don't have money for administration. We don't have money for accounting. We don't have money for systems to ensure that everything can maintain and sustain itself. The equipment and the things that you want doesn't run the hospital. The organization runs the hospital. And the exact same thing is true in every nonprofit organization. I cannot tell you the number of people who say to me, Jen, I started my nonprofit organization, but we don't have any money. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and I'm paying for everything out of my own pocket. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and we don't know how to get donors and funders. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and we don't have board members that can help us raise money. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization and we don't have contributors or partners. Jen, funding is my biggest issue. Why is that? I don't have a plan to raise it. I don't know how to raise it. I did not make the organizational management system structure a priority. Listen, this is deeper than money. This is deeper than money. Many of you feel guilty investing in yourselves. You feel guilty investing in leadership development, coaching, strategy, because you think that money should go to the people, Jen. That if I take money and put it here, what about the program? I have the money for the materials, for the supplies, for the equipment, for the space. I'm paying for the website. I'm paying for gas. I'm paying for the phone. I'm paying for the internet. I'm paying for everything out of your own pocket. But when it comes time to investing in learning how to run the organization so that the organization can sustain itself, then you're like, oh, I don't have any money for that. Because all the money should go to the program. And that is the biggest mistake. Why? If you do not put the organization together, the fundraising strategies, the governance strategies, the financial development, the financial management, the donor acquisition, those things that bring in the money, that program is not sustainable. The program does not bring in money. The program does not attract or raise money. It's the organization. Here's the question. What happens to the people in your program if the organization fails? Here's the question. What happens to the people that you say you want to serve if the organization fails? In this case, what happens to the veterans? What happens to the foster youth? What happens to the families? What happens to the young people that you say you want to serve? What happens to the community? If the organization cannot sustain itself, the people lose too. And the cost is not just financial. The cost is now the pantry has to close. The shelter has to shut down. The youth program disappears. The mentoring initiative comes to an end. And you now are burnt out. And the mission suffers. Not because the mission isn't worthy, but because the infrastructure of the organization was not built to carry the mission. Now, listen, this is the part that no one talks about. No one talks about how do you run, how do you sustain, how do you equip, how do you structure the organization to sustain itself. You all didn't even think about that. And this is one of the biggest breakthroughs that you need to hear. I want you to hear me now. You know I'm going to tell you the truth. When you hear you need to put that organization together, you need organizational development. You need to put the structure and the systems and the strategies of the organization to raise the money. That's what you need. Your brain hears. You want me to choose between helping people and building the organizational infrastructure for sustainability? You want me to choose between helping people or building the organizational infrastructure? And the truth is, that's not the choice. That's not even the choice. The real choice is, do you want this mission to survive beyond your personal sacrifice? Because organizational development is not competing with the mission. It's protecting the mission. That if and when you don't put that organization together, when you don't put the organizational infrastructure together and your 501c3, your bylaws, your 1023 form is not organization, it's paperwork. So the organizational development, the fundraising strategy, the financial systems, understanding where your donors are, your ideal donors, how to get them, how to diversify your funding streams, that's organizational development. That's not competing with the mission. That's protecting the mission. Most of you ask, how much will that cost, Jen? How much would that cost? That's the wrong question. The better question is, what will it cost if I don't build this correctly? That's why many of you are stuck. Jen, I started my nonprofit, but now I'm stuck. Jen, I started my nonprofit and we had to stop. Jen, I started my nonprofit and I'm paying for everything out of my pocket. Jen, I started my nonprofit and we don't have any donors. We don't have any funders. We don't have any supporters. Jen, I started my nonprofit and I don't have boards that can help me raise money. Jen, I started my nonprofit and we don't have enough money to carry this mission. What does it cost you personally? What does it cost your community? When you start an organization, but don't put the organization together properly? What does it cost you emotionally, financially, operationally, to the people that you need to help? That's the real calculation. This is not competing. This is ensuring that the organization has what it needs to support, to carry, to sustain the mission of the program. Without the organizational structure, this program can't exist. I want you to imagine, in this case, from this founder that I was talking to earlier, who wants to put together a house, right? She's already got the house. She's already spending money out of her own pocket. So imagine that the house is open and that funding is flowing, right? And imagine that donors trust the organization. Board members are engaged, that the systems are functioning within the organization. What do you mean systems, Jen? Your fundraising system, your donor acquisition system, your communication systems, your financial management systems, all those systems that support and carry the organization are functioning. And that you have now outcomes that are measurable. Imagine that you aren't carrying everything alone. Imagine that now the mission is sustainable. Imagine helping people for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years instead of 2. That's what infrastructure creates. Listen, I want to encourage you to stop asking, how much can I put into the program? And start asking, what was built so that the program still exists 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? That's the question you should be asking. Listen, this is exactly why I've created an 8-week fundability nonprofit series. It's an 8-week series. Because many of you have not been taught how to run, how to sustain, how to structure, how to build an organization that is able to carry, to support financially the work of the program. Many of you were just taught to fill out the paperwork to get your 501c3. Many of you were taught, start a nonprofit, you can get a grant. And then you're in it 1 year, 2 years later, and you're funding everything out of your own pocket. The organization has no donors, the organization has no supporters, and you realize that getting a grant is not as easy as getting that 501c3 status. And you've already proven that you care, right? You want to make a difference. You've already proven that your mission matters. But what you weren't taught is, how do I organize, structure, create the infrastructure within the organization to sustain the mission? And that's required. That's required. Over the 8-week series, we talk about governance, we talk about fundraising infrastructure, we talk about donor confidence, we talk about operating systems, we talk about your sustainability planning, we talk about organizational capacity, because that's what raises the money, not your program or not your 501c3 or not your nonprofit status. Your mission deserves more than passion. Your mission deserves more than passion. It deserves protection. And the way that you protect the mission is by building the organization strong enough to sustain it. And again, this is not what most of you have been taught. Most of you that have never worked in a nonprofit, you've never structured a nonprofit, you've never fundraised for a nonprofit, you've never put together a plan for sustainability for a nonprofit. You know program. Your passion is program. But the organization has to have the systems, the structures, the infrastructure to be able to raise the funds to support and protect the mission of the program. The program by itself cannot exist without the organization. You must build an organization strong enough to sustain it. After I talked to the leader today, I said to her, I said, listen, the bed helps people today, but the organization determines whether those beds can still help people tomorrow. I'm going to say that again. For those of you that want to help young people, those of you that want to do an after school program, those of you that want to do a sporting program, right? That sporting program, the basketball, the soccer, the football, whatever the sport event is, that's going to be engaging and inspiring to youth today. But it's the organization, the structure and the infrastructure of the organization that gives the ability, the capacity, the systems, the tools, the revenue needed to help those young people tomorrow, next year, 4 years from now, 10 years from now. And that's why organizational development isn't taking money away from the mission. It's protecting the mission from failure. I hope this helps. I hope that this information helps. I know that for many of you that have been saying, Jen, I don't know. I don't know how to raise money. I don't know how to get donors. I don't know how to get board members. I don't know how to get sponsors. Funding is my biggest issue, Jen, but I don't know how to solve that. Jen, I started my nonprofit organization, but I'm funding everything out of my own pocket. Jen, I'm stuck and I don't know how to get unstuck. And then you decide, I know I need help, but I can't afford it. And the reason that you say that is because you think getting help to put together the organization, getting help to put together the fundraising strategies, the donor acquisition plan, the financial management, identifying and securing the resources from multiple streams is competing with the work of the mission, competing with the work of the program. And it's not. Getting the help to put the organization together so that it can sustain itself is protecting that program. Because without it, you're going to pay for everything out of your own pocket, which is not sustainable. Your donors, your supporters, your contributors, your sponsors are going to see that the organization has no plan for sustainability, no financial management, that you are doing everything that the organization is supposed to do, and it's going to weaken your position to be able to support that program long term. Investing in knowledge is not competition. It's securing success in what you want to do. Because if you continue to operate with, I don't know how, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to do it, I don't know where to begin, you are making the decision to put that work in jeopardy. It's not competing. It's ensuring that that program has an organization that can carry it long term. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank you for your support. And I hope that what I have shared helps you to realize Your mission is important, but it can't exist if the organization doesn't exist. All right. I am Jennifer. I am your nonprofit expert. When you are ready to make the decision that your mission matters and it deserves the opportunity to be sustained long term, then I'm here to help. All right. Thank you so very much. And I will see you all next time.